Hello, hello. Welcome to the Squirrel Circus podcast. I'm the Rainbow Squirrel. Today, I'm joined by my co-host Ian and Andy the Moss Guardian. Say hi, guys.
Hello, hello, hello. Yet
Hello.
one more time.
And today, well, we've been doing a bit of a trilogy here. Part one of the trilogy was episode 26, K through 12, Melanie Martinez walking through some of these ideas. Then, also very education related, episode 27, we looked at Pink Floyd's The Wall. And
Mhm.
now to cap off this little development trilogy, the final act, we'll be talking a little bit about fascism. God, what a headache of a topic, fascism.
Mhm. Mhm. Interesting topic. I did all my investigation about fascism. I actually didn't. I was. I. w- I just discovered that I really wasn't like very in tune and very knowledgeable about what fascism is. But now I have it
Tell
pretty.
me
I
about
have it a
it.
bit clearer. Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about anything until I knew something, and now I'm here.
Hell yeah. I think the first thing
Necessary.
we can say about fascism is that it's a form of authoritarian, totalitarian governance. The founders of fascist movements around the world, when such things were still openly fashionable, explicitly described themselves and the state they wanted to build as totalitarian, authoritarian. But the question naturally becomes, does any totalitarian or authoritarian state or state actions turn it into fascism, or are there more requirements to to make it be like that? We'll explore that.
We'll explore
Yippee.
that. We'll explore that. Okay. So where should we start with fascism?
I think a great place to start would be like what surprised you guys as you were uh, learning more about the subject? What was like,
Okay,
whoa,
so I maybe I want to like tell you guys what I know about fascism because it's like the lowest level of knowledge about the subject, so we can start from there. Um, I thought initially that it was a side of communism, but it's not. I looked up a Venn diagram and it's completely two different things. And so what I know about fascism is basically that it is an ideology that it's nationalist, so it takes the pride of a country and makes that the kind of populistic kind of power for to spread this ideology, no? So it uses populism, no? And nationalism to spread. That's what I understood.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that it doesn't entail hate, but it was used with hate at some point.
I think immediately I have to intervene. Immediately.
Please
I'm sorry.
do. Please do, please do.
I wouldn't say that it is, and actually been arguing with ChatGPT about this for a while. I wouldn't say that it's a side of communism, but I would say without a doubt that it is part of the same intellectual family tree. It is part of the
Okay.
same genus. And
Hmm.
the very simplified form of that is, okay, Mussolini is basing himself on Gentile, his top philosopher. Gentile is basing himself largely on Hegel and Sorel. And of course, Sorel is a deviation, but still basing himself on Marx. And Marx himself is basing himself on Hegel. So it's from Hegel, you get Marx, and then from Marx, you get Sorel, and Sorel is
Yeah.
kind of this weird
Mm,
mix with Romanticism and some Hegelian stuff. And then you get Gentile, who just like further tightens it all together around the idea of nationalism. And then you
okay.
get fascism as we know it. The core difference with communism is communism seeks to see class conflict play itself out to the fullest to advance the development of history towards the ideal, perfect society. Fascism, instead of seeing that conflict play out, tries to resolve it through the establishment of a totalitarian state that unifies the
Hmm.
interests of, let's say, the proletariat, the workers, with capital, the bourgeoisie. They all fall into the national body and perform the functions required of them by the state.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. It kind of like in communism, they treat everyone as a whole, and in the fascist, they treat everyone as they are, but communicate like make them a community with nationalism, no?
Yes,
So they empower them.
communism, in communism proper, they don't treat everyone the same. I
Okay.
think Ian may have some stories about this. I don't know. In, for example, the Soviet Union, you had this very clear contrast of the proletariat and the representatives of the proletariat and the
What is
old
proletariat?
capitalist. Proletariat, they're the workers that are aware of their role in the development of history.
Ah,
So it's
okay.
the working class that rises up against the capitalists.
Okay.
And once that uprising happens, the proletariat and the capitalists are not treated the same at all. Their roles are inverted and
Okay.
in a very heavy-handed way,
Hmm.
which in the Soviet Union led to, they called them the kulaks.
The gulags, yeah.
Oh, that
That
rings a
sounds
bell, but
Very,
what is that?
equal to. It was like work camps, which were basically concentration camps.
Uh,
They
those
would
are
send,
this.
the gulags.
yeah.
And it's
Mm,
confusing. I get confused with this too because there's the gulags and there's the kulaks.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
kulaks were the capitalists, the the successful private farmers who got to hire other people and not starve every
Okay.
winter. And of course, that's a crime because you can't have private property. You can't be engaging in exchange of labor and goods to make yourself richer. So their land was forcefully expropriated and terribly mismanaged by the proletarian state, which led to the mass famine of, you know, millions of deaths in Ukraine from
Mm-hmm.
starvation. That's what's called the Holodomor. So in communism, they're not the same. There's actually, uh, as far as the state is concerned, in fascism, every member of the nation is the same. The same in that they're all completely beholden to what the state requires of them.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
They're like you're all slaves. Uh, in
Yay.
in communism, it's like you're all slaves, but we're gonna act as if only the old capitalists are slaves.
Yeah.
They. Well.
Yeah. I heard another interesting comparison between communism and fascism, and it's the way they treat the. I mean, there is one thing I think both things share, and it's that there is kind of a mythology, right? There is a mythology that is used by the higher levels of power to kind of get into the psychology of the people, right? And these mythologies are usually borrowed from history or borrowed from certain philosophies. And uh, I think, I mean, both communism and fascism have these mythologies. For Hitler, for example, it was the mythology of the Aryan race, right? That there, he kind of twisted history into creating this idea of a master race that once existed, right? That was like the peak of humanity, the peak of biological humanity, and that uh, and fascism would use kind of this mythology to progress into an advancement of society, right? Progress into an expansion and a perfection of society, like uh, towards progression. And it seems like communism uses this mythology to kind of try to go back. Like if we talk about it from a agnostic point of view, is like in communism there is an idea of a real world, right? And of humanity as it really is and as it truly is, right? And it kind of tries to regress what has been built by capitalism and try to regress and abandon that and go back to what the natural state of human civilization is, right? But
But it
I
never
mean,
was it? It was a myth, no?
yeah,
Of course, it wasn't.
it's all
Okay, man.
mythology. It's all
Thought I missed a part of history or something.
Yeah, the thing. Okay, let's walk through the Marxist myth of historical
please,
progression.
please, yeah.
First stage of humanity, um, you have primitive communism. Everybody lives in harmony with very, very limited technology. Already bullshit. Second stage, uh, slavery and empires. Property starts getting established, and some people are slaves, and some people are high property owners, the nobility and such. Then you get feudalism, very similar, but now the nobility is a bit weaker in some senses, a bit stronger in some senses. And the same goes for the underclass, which is the serfs. Then you have the next development, also achieved through conflict of classes, which is capitalism. And capitalism expands productive capacity beyond anything imaginable, but it creates a new class conflict between workers and uh, the owners of the means of production, which are capitalists. And so Marx's idea is, in short, that the poor will continue to get poorer, and there will be more and more and more poor people, and the rich will get richer, but there will be less and less and less of them. Like wealth is going to become extremely concentrated until something snaps, there's a violent revolution, and you get the establishment of a dictatorship of the proletariat. And that's something like what happened in Russia, except
Mm-hmm.
they didn't follow the steps correctly, because Russia was still in the agricultural masters and serfs phase, not the capitalist phase. So they had to do all of
Damn.
the industrialization in the dictatorship of the proletariat rather than in a capitalist phase. The same thing happened in China. Strangely enough, really, the whole layout that Marx gave for revolutions within capitalist societies never happened. Not how he imagined it, at least. And the idea is once you have the dictatorship of the proletariat, they are going to manage everything in such a way that the dictatorship itself will wither away, it'll be gone, and what you have at the very end is this peaceful state of harmony, this return, like Ion was saying, to the original state of humanity, which is communism.
Mm-hmm.
It's all bullshit. It's all complete bullshit. It
Why
never
do you say
happens.
that?
It never happens. And when it
Okay.
kind of happens, a lot of people die, and you never get to that final stage where there is no state and everything is perfect. Never happens, ever. Also, the reasons he lays out for why capitalism is going to fall apart doesn't happen. The rich get richer, yes. There are also more rich people, not less rich people, and the poor get poorer as well, get poorer, get richer as well. So all of the reasons he lays out for having this horrible class conflict revolution don't happen. And then when a similar revolution based on his ideas does happen, a lot of people die and you don't get to the desired end state,
How
which is
fun.
really horrible.
Basically. Yeah. And it just, I mean, we have
What
seen
did he
so
do wrong?
many,
What,
we have
why
seen
did
so
he?
many good enough tries in history that it just doesn't seem worth it to keep trying, honestly.
Just a few more
But like
millions dead. It'll work.
what did his calculations miscalculate? Where do you think he thought wrongly?
Well, he based his whole theory. I love it. We went from fascism to communism. This is how easy it is to go from one to the other. That's how close they are. Um,
I mean, they both
he
remind me of the color red. That's why I confused them. That's like
They're both pretty red, yeah.
they both involve a lot of blood. So in in Marx's theory, you have this idea that the only reason that the capitalist makes profit is because they are exploiting the worker's labor value. So what gives a certain
uh-huh.
commodity, a certain product value is the labor that is put into that thing, the physical
Hmm.
labor. And the capitalist is adding no labor at all. They just own the capital. Now tell me, how do you make the product without the capital? How to make a smartphone without a factory?
Uh, you
So does
don't.
the value of the smartphone come from, the little Chinese kid putting it together, or the factory? It comes from both.
Okay. Yeah.
Marx failed to account for the value added by the factory.
Okay.
So you fail to account for that. You start a whole bunch of predictions about how the economy is going to play out
Mm,
without accounting for that, and you end up with this idea that there will be less and less rich people who will be richer and
okay.
richer,
So
and
that's the
more poor people.
factor.
Yeah,
Interesting,
just
interesting.
one
Damn,
bad
so
economic
simple.
theory.
Simple as
You
that,
should have
yeah.
been there. You should have told him. Like when he was writing, just think about it, man.
I mean, they
How
probably
can you do a
were
smartphone
told
without a
him.
factory?
Then I would go further. It's generally frowned upon to try to guess philosophers' motives.
Oh,
But
sorry. I'm dumb.
I'm pretty certain that no, I'm gonna do it. I'm pretty
Okay.
certain that Marx just wanted to cause as much chaos and death
Chaos.
and suffering as possible, and he found a really good way to do
Who
it
wants
too.
that? Is there actually a
Straight up.
human being who wants that? Like,
Straight up.
why? Why?
Hitler.
But he had another imagination. I don't think he wanted chaos. He made chaos. Like,
I
how does a
mean,
human being have this idea and the
I guess
idea
in
is
Hitler's
chaos?
case, it was more like chaos for the means of a future order kind of thing, right? It wasn't gonna be like an infinite chaos. It was just gonna be, well, supposedly it was just gonna be like,
Not
let's
necessarily
bring.
infinite, but maximal. Something that Jordan Peterson points out is when the Nazis started losing the war, they had two options. They could have used all of the Jews that they had in concentration camps as slaves to help with the war effort, or they could have done what they did, which is even when you're starved for resources and losing a war, devoting as many resources as possible to the destruction of that race.
Hmm.
That's what
Dang.
you do when you're just You're just out
Yeah,
to
when you're just
destroy things.
Very
deep
angry.
into too deep in the hole. Yeah.
Someone's very angry.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one of the main things with fascism, right? It entails violence. Violence is glorified in fascism. And it's, I mean,
Hmm.
it makes sense understanding where it was born, right? I mean, we see the two fathers of fascism as Mussolini and Hitler, right? Mussolini kind of came first, but something they both shared is that they both fought in the First World War, and they both like were in the trenches, like they both saw the thing first-handedly, and the people they started to build this movement with were also people who lived this first-handedly and saw the horrors of war and the horrors of violence. And that's something that shocks me quite a bit, that these are the same people that kind of go back to their countries and say like, okay, this is reality, we have to embrace it, and we have to get over it, we have to put ourselves on top of it, and I mean, uh I guess that's another thing they kind of established in the ideology, was that nature is a violent thing and evolution is a violent thing, where the weak perish and the strong survive. And kind of, I mean, they embraced that, and they convinced a lot of people to embrace it, which is pretty shocking. But that's, I mean, that's why we nowadays use fascism as a word, as almost as an insult. You know, like we just see it as a bad thing. And it's funny because even the closest people to being actual fascists nowadays are the people using the word fascist to describe their enemies and to describe their to describe the ops, which is
Who are we
very
talking
funny.
about, though?
I think
Or
that's another point we could talk about.
wait,
Fascism
I
today.
think there's something else before we get to
Oh yeah, yeah. Hmm.
the fascists calling the kettle fascist. Uh, the pot calling the kettle fascist. Yeah, we should coin that. Um, there's also this idea which is similar to the Marxist idea that uh, humanity has gone astray from our natural state and our natural
Hmm.
purpose, which is to participate in this brutal process of violence for the sake of the survival of the
Survival of
strongest.
the fittest. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
That
And
was my only contribution. That's the only thing I can say about this team. But go on,
that
please.
the right way forward is to return to that. That reminds me a bit of the Marxist thing. Except the Marxist thing isn't return to survival of the strongest through violence,
Yeah,
survival of the
no, no,
fittest.
but it is returning to this one essence of humanity, this one true essence of humanity, right? As a
Yeah.
living race of the planet, and you know,
And they
a
also
living race
both
of
believe
nature.
that that state, the return to that state, is only possible through violence. For Marxism, it's a violent revolution. For fascism, it's a state centered around the glorification of violence. But regardless, that's that's their ideal, you know, the ultimate mechanism of uh, humanity at its best.
Hmm.
But so yeah, which are
Yeah.
these groups uh, in your estimation that are using uh, the pot calling the kettle fascist?
Oh, it's everyone.
Can you
It's
explain the
everyone.
metaphor?
I mean, it
The
The
pot
pot
calling the what?
You've heard that expression, the pot calling the kettle black? Because the
No,
no,
I
it's
don't
like
know. I don't understand.
the pot is black because it's full of like carbon and burnt things, and the kettle is also black because it's full of like soot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like
Because they're the same thing.
yeah, exactly. So it's like
Basically.
Okay.
you're calling out in someone else something that you're very guilty of.
Okay. Now I get it. Thank you. Thank you for
And
clarifying.
I think it's it's interesting the use of the word fascism nowadays, right? Because it has kind of diffused, I guess. Um, there is a big effort in trying to establish the word fascism as a one thing, and it is this thing that Mussolini and Hitler kind of did and pursued, right? And it is like the word is defined by all these things and all these steps that were taken by both of these maniacs to reach that state of like superpower. And if you try to study like today the fascists from today, it seems like you usually find some of these factors missing, right? I don't know, it seems like, can we mention like names, political names and stuff? I don't. I mean, this is not a
Go for it.
political podcast,
Go for it.
but I mean, it's like everybody knows what's happening around, and we're fucking we're liberals, so it's obvious we're gonna be talking shit about the orange man, because if you think about what's happening, I mean, I think it's the clearest example because it's like the biggest superpower and the most like notorious around nowadays. Um, you are seeing these patterns kind of repeat. These steps that kind of. I mean, the not going into power by force, but through populism,
Persuasion.
right, and persuasion,
Mm.
and
Which is
you see,
how Hitler and Mussolini did it.
uh-huh, yeah, I mean, that's you
The
see that,
pattern.
then you see like these bursts of violence against whatever does not uh whatever does not fit in with the idea of a united country or a united state. You got ICE, for example. You got which is also what Hitler and Mussolini did. I mean, they did it specifically with communists and socialists and etc. Hitler kind of went a bit further than that and went even to genetic extents and to racial extents, which
And I
uh,
think there is
you see,
there is one key difference with the Orange
there
Man,
is one difference.
which is well, one and a half. The the totalitarian part.
That's it.
He
It
has the
seems like,
violence part, he has the nationalism part, but he doesn't have the totalitarian part, and not
mhm.
really the censorship part either. Like it wasn't that long
Who?
ago, Orange Man.
Okay.
Orange Man.
It wasn't that long ago that they tried to kill him again, which of course is not warranted, not justified, not good, as far as I can tell. And it was like a day later that his wife was at a dinner and a comedian made fun of that. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing that comedians can make fun of that.
Yeah,
And that that comedian is not gonna be arrested for making fun of that. That's a good thing because it indicates that there is something crucial missing from the fascist assessment, which is the totalitarianism imposed through the restriction of free speech. That seems important to me in that estimation. I don't think that's the case for another candidate for modern fascism, which is, again, let's be coy about this. Let's be cheeky. Uh, Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the
Y'all know
Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh
I
in
don't
the
get
context
Winnie
of
the Pooh,
politics.
but
Yes, I think I know.
Who are you thinking of?
Uh, uh, mm, I don't know his name, but he's the Chinese guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
Maybe.
got it. You got it.
okay, okay.
That guy. If we were in China right now, if we were Chinese citizens, we would be fucked for saying that Winnie the Pooh joke. We would be so screwed. So
Thank
he
God we're not
definitely has
Chinese.
more of a
the pimping, the ping
authoritarian
ping
side.
ying, the jing jing ping 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 ying. That guy.
Let's not push our luck here.
So,
We'd be so screwed. Zero freedom of speech. Uh, a totalitarian unity of the corporations and the state and the people for the purpose of making, uh, the state a
mhm.
great nation. The
I
violence
think.
thing, they like to keep it
Oh,
down.
there is a lot of violence, at least. Yeah.
So I think that's a way more viable candidate to
What about?
deserve the
I think.
title.
I think there is. I know. I know one factor that kind of differs the situation from fascism. I think it's the expansionist side of it. Or I don't know. I don't know because
They
you
do have
might
that.
think like. I mean, yeah, no. If you think like Tibet, uh,
Tibet, other parts of India,
parts of other part, yeah, no, yeah, that's
Taiwan.
true. That's
Taiwan.
true.
Yeah, thank you.
Taiwan.
The
Mm-hmm.
thing is, I saw like there was an exposition at my old school that I went to, and there was a Chinese guy who was like he collected like little army stuff and like army like Chinese army uniform and like stamps, and he knew all the history, right? And I asked him, "Hey, I'm going to Taiwan someday. Like that's my wish, no?" And I asked him like, "How worried would I be?" For an invasion, and he was like, "No, don't worry about it. The Taiwanese people, they know they're Chinese. Like they know that they belong to China. Like there's no conflict." That's what he told me.
No, no, but
And mind you, I have zero context about politics in general. Like that
Yeah, no,
doesn't, I
I
don't
mean,
know
let's
anything.
just not get to the details
no, but do you
of
get what he was saying?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything about
He
anything
was
about
saying
politics.
we don't have to invade them because they're already
There,
ours.
yeah,
yeah,
I
and
don't
that's
know. Is that not true? That's not true, I'm guessing.
Not as far as I'm concerned. Not as far as the
Okay.
Taiwanese people are concerned. Like, yes, they call themselves like the real China because they're like they
Mm,
think of themselves as the China that is carrying forward the thousands years old tradition of China,
okay.
not because they're part of the communist thing or nowadays the fascist thing.
Okay.
It's oh my God, that kid.
I,
Oh, made my
I don't understand.
that tickled something in my brain, man. But yeah, I would say that the current government of mainland China
as
is
fascist.
is fascistic. Yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
way more than the Orange Man could even dream of.
Yeah,
because the Orange Man doesn't have enough power.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically. Um, what else? What else?
What I found interesting is the documentary we saw the other day, Ian, about the Orange Man origins. That was very interesting.
Oh yeah,
that would be a
we watched
friggin' bomb
the
title for a movie.
Netflix
Orange
the
Man.
Orange
Netflix
Man origin.
Trump American Dream documentary. It's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, Um, really gives you a good picture of who this guy is and how he thinks, and it's I don't know. I honestly don't want to talk about the Orange Man. I'm scared of talking about the Orange Man right now.
That's fair. We don't have to
If
talk
I
you're
about
mean,
it.
I just
if you're scared to criticize him, then he is kind of becoming just
yeah, no, I'm not scared of criticizing him. I just don't feel with the credentials to say anything about him. I
yeah,
don't
okay,
feel
that's fair
like
enough.
I'm yeah, no, it's not that it's more like I don't feel like I have the authority or the knowledge to talk about him in a certain way. So I mean, I have my own ideas, but I personally don't don't want to. But I mean, I think if you've been watching the podcast and you have been like getting in tune of our ideas and you watch this documentary and you see it in terms of what we have been talking about and like I mean we've been talking about this archetypical thing of the star on the eye people, right? And we see it in Ayn Rand, and we see it in. I mean, we have seen it in so many places. If you think about it like that, and you watch the documentary, you can get a pretty good notion of what I think about the guy. Um, yeah, that's what I'm gonna say about that. Um, and what else? What else? I mean,
Anything else that surprised you guys in the investigation?
I think another thing I thought about is I I kind of I it made me think about the wall, right? I mean, we talked about the wall in the past episode. If you haven't watched that, please go watch it right after
Ah,
finishing this one. It's a good one. It's a good one. Um, it's interesting because we have like these two historical examples of like fascists, right? Of what we denominate as fascists, and they both have the same story of where they started to come up. I mean, they these both guys were probably already like pretty ill since before they went to war, but being in war and seeing the horrors of war firsthand, that's something that does not happen in the wall. I mean, there definitely is war involved, but it's not a direct experience of war for Pink, right? But still, he follows this path into fascism. So I think it just made me think about what the origins of a fascist leader could be, right? Is there like a specific scenario that kind of builds the vision for a fascist state, for a leader to kind of follow and use to get into power, or are there different risks? I don't know. Especially nowadays, I think it's it seems like fascism is also. I mean, we're talking about China nowadays being a fascistic state. Um, I think many might argue with that. I have no resources to argue with that, honestly, but to me, it seems like there is also a very important historical context for fascism to happen. Right, fascism happened before the nuclear war. Sorry, before the nuclear bombs. Fascism happened before we actually developed the ability to destroy life on Earth. Right, is it prone nowadays to have a completely fascist state with the fear of because that's the thing. Like if nowadays a fascist state actually rose, that could probably mean the end of life on Earth, right? I
Good.
think there is a lot more fear nowadays of war than there was back in the day. I'm kinda drifting away from what I was talking initially, but
No, no, but it makes sense. And it actually reminds me of something really important. I think fascism has or is in the process of evolving, mutating into something different, something that's not quite as trigger happy or perhaps not even as nationalistic, but something that still seeks to establish a totalitarian corporatist regime that imposes censorship and brings all individuals and all processes within the state into, well, the purview of the state.
mhm.
I think that is forming, and sometimes I think if we pay attention, we can hear it from people. Like, well, wouldn't everything be so much easier if there was a one world government, or if companies worked together with the government to achieve certain goals? And maybe if people don't have the necessary expertise to talk about a subject, then they shouldn't be allowed to talk about the subject. And you don't need violence to enforce that. You just need control over the mechanisms of finance and communication. And these sorts of fascists, and I do call them fascists, neo-fascists, soft
Neo-fascists. Let's call them neo-fascists. Yeah,
or
I think
soft fascists, because they're,
they're
you know, they,
soft
they
fascists.
they don't want violence. They just want total control.
Yes.
They would have
They
us
still
taken off the
resort to
air.
violence. They still resort to violence,
They'd be like, what are
but they
these
don't want
three?
it. They don't want it. They don't want that.
You
No,
know,
no,
what are these three kids going to be talking
no.
about politics and music? They don't know anything. They're not accredited. They haven't studied. They
Mm.
shouldn't be allowed to voice their opinions.
Boo-hoo. Womp womp. I have one thing that I can contribute to this podcast. The key, like a difference that I think exists between what happened like a century ago to now is that the world still communicated through a slower system, like letters, but now everything is
Yeah,
communicated way
radio.
faster. Or radio, yeah, or telephone. But like now, everyone has a bigger chance to have a bigger voice, no? Because especially the younger generations are so interconnected and everyone has a very strong voice, no? At least in that ambito. How does that change for future, like fascist ideologies? Like, does that prevent a fascist government and somehow because of this como interconnected, more interconnectivity, people are more informed, less prone to believing only in one thing, but rather many things. And I don't know, that was just an idea.
I don't know. It's complicated because at the same time, that makes it easier for fascism to spread.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like
I
at the
mean the
point,
reason originally people in Germany became Nazis was because of the propaganda, right? And it took
Yeah,
time.
but
It took
that's
like years of
nationalistic.
time of just putting banners of the Nazi party
But the thing
constantly
is
up, and
that
nowadays it's just
that's like very
quick.
local in a nation, right? And now the internet is like it's not a nation. It's like the whole world is connected by the internet. So
Yeah, it's like global liberalism versus global fascism versus global
yeah,
communism, and they're all
exactly.
fighting at the same time.
Yeah, but that's not like it's harmless, no? Or how harmful is it?
I think it's
How
very harmful. I think
It's
it's
a
stupid harmful, but it's.
it's a
is
new
war gonna
battleground of
start?
ideas.
I think
Yeah, no.
it's not gonna be fascism. I mean, if you think about what could rise from that, it's not fascism anymore. Like it maybe pushes towards the same goal of fascism, but it just takes a complete different path to get there. Like
Soft fascism.
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Well, it's an interesting thought, no?
Yeah, of course, and look, it's a new battleground of ideas, and the best we can do is to fight on it. And that's what we're doing with the podcast, with the essays.
Yeah,
We're doing our part.
we're
Fuck
trying.
yeah.
We're trying.
Can we synchronize this? Wait. One,
One, two.
Three.
2, 3. Fuck fascism.
You gotta edit like an explosion
Slap
after that.
fascists in the face. Slap them.
I
Gotta
will
slap the
not.
face.
Yeah, no,
We're
just
so weird, man.
yeah, no, I think the social media thing is just a whole different monster. It just opens possibilities to even darker things than fascism, I feel. Um,
And now the AI is even more bigger monstrosity. Have you seen all the like the angsty videos about how we're all gonna like be slaves to these new intelligence because of Darwin's theory of the survival of the fittest, and now we're
oh
doing a
no,
complete new
the
race, and they're
conspiracies
gonna
are
like
going crazy on that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
guys, don't fall for the naturalistic fallacy, okay? The survival of the fittest is not a prescription for how to organize a fucking society.
yeah, no, and I mean, just like it's just I feel it's even kind of contradicting trying to use this as a political agenda kind of thing because you think about it, that's kind of nature's job, right? I mean,
it happens naturally. You can't force it. I mean, you
you
can do
can't
it
force it.
consciously.
You can't force it. Yeah.
You can't do it consciously. Can you do it consciously?
They
Can you
try.
I
When
mean,
consciously?
people try to do
they
it
tried,
consciously,
yeah.
shit goes wrong.
They tried,
Damn.
but no. But no. No, no,
Big scale, you can't. Small scale, you can punch a guy and then you're stronger and you
Please
win.
don't go around punching guys, to be honest. Don't don't do that. Don't do that.
You don't need to
Which actually
survive these days. You need to like, you're already very good. You're not gonna die. You got
true,
hospitals.
thanks to civilization, uh, it's liberal civilization specifically. And I think a good point to end on, we already talked about Jordan Peterson, but we're going to talk about it again. Um, if you look at monkeys, because we're talking about the naturalistic fallacy, right? Well, how do monkeys do it?
yeah.
People can think, okay, the monkey that's in charge of the pack or whatever is going to be the strongest, most violent monkey.
Hmm.
Not true. The monkeys that try to get authority over the pack by being the strongest and the most violent end up meeting a very violent end themselves. The
Yeah,
monkeys that
that's
are
for sure.
able to
That's true.
establish a stable authority over the pack are usually smaller monkeys that are reciprocal with the others and that can form meaningful alliances. So if we're going to go with the naturalistic fallacy, be reciprocal and get some friends.
I guess it depends on the monkey
Some
species.
friend.
Yeah, well, that's for chimpanzees.
The what?
Yeah,
For chimpanzees.
chimpanzees.
That's
Ah,
how
okay.
A closer,
Because for
at
gorillas,
least
it's
they are
definitely the
closer.
strongest, but they're like not the smartest either. So,
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
then
we
for
could do better than
bonobos, it's
monkeys
a
too.
whole
Like.
different thing.
We could do better than monkeys, that's for sure.
We can do better than monkeys, but it will require reciprocity and care and alliances. I think that we can definitely
And
learn
friends
that
and
from.
touching grass and hitting that like
I
and
don't
subscribe
know.
button.
I don't know, guys. I'm honestly a go back to monkey advocate. It
Return to monkey.
seems fun. It seems fun being a monkey.
Return to monkey, but before you do, give this video a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Happy
Bye.
devolution.